Hello everyone and welcome to the Impact Play, impacting more than just gaming. I'm your founder and host, Muhammad, otherwise known as Diego. We are your one-stop news show for the latest and greatest across gaming, tech, entertainment, sports, and music. We are amplifying voices from those respective fields that haven't their story told here on the Impact Play. Your sport keeps the lights running and keeps the content rolling. You can support us over at anchor.fm /TheImpactPlay/support or via Patreon. So Recruit and Above get the show ad free. Go to Recruit and Above, have exclusive access to not only the post show, but they can even call in to be a part of live show experience, plus early access, and so much more. Learn more and become a Patreon supporter today at patreon.com /TheImpactPlay. Or even when you use the credit code the Impact Play. We are our Epic partner, so with every purchase you make within that Impact ecosystem, when you use that credit code, we will get a commission and help support the show. And now I request to you, so we get a slight kickback, and you buy your favorite skin or V-Bucks, and everyone wins. So this is the Impact Play spoiler cast, episode 162, where we will be reviewing Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, plus spoiler reviews. Hence the name Spoilercast, so stay tuned and enjoy. So if you guys did enjoy our review cast with no spoilers, I guess you guys will enjoy our spoiler review of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So, I guess we'll get right into it, folks. So as you guys are aware, I did have an early screening of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, courtesy of Access Free Play. Thank you guys so much for inviting me for the early screening. But nonetheless, let's get right into it, folks. I guess we all, if you aren't aware already, there are different versions of Doctor Strange, different versions of other key characters within the show. So we have what's his ex-wife's name? Not his ex-wife, but his ex-lover, Catherine. Let me see. What's her name? Let me see. Let me look into the cast real quick. Christine Palmer. How the heck did I mix the name? Okay, so Christine Palmer. There was different versions of her as they traveled after along their multiverse path, I guess you could say. The versions of Doctor Strange, the versions of Christine. We saw at least one more version of Wanda. And the key character of this film is America Chavez, which is there is only one version of her. But nonetheless, let's get into it, folks. So the film literally just started. America Chavez and a version of Doctor Strange trying to claim the book of what's that book called? Let me see. Book of Shanti, which essentially grants the user knowledge of defeating their enemy. So it was a version of Doctor Strange, and in America were being pursued by a demon. And then Doctor Strange couldn't control that demon, or I guess restricted movements, because it was too powerful for him. And they were so close to the book, essentially what that version of Doctor Strange felt was right, was he's trying to absorb America's ability into his own being, instead of risking her ability in the hands of whose motives are bad. So he ended up dying in the process, and America. So let's get to America's ability first. America has the ability to travel across the multiverse. But at the beginning, throughout the movie, she has a hard time controlling it. She can only activate that ability when she's in fear for her life, essentially, or afraid. So we saw that ability being used in a multitude of ways throughout the show. So she found her way through our version of Doctor Strange, which we know from Doctor Strange 1. Being pursued by a demon, he ended up defeating it. And he's trying to find out her origin story, and he did. And he ended up trying to recruit Wanda, aka Scarlet Witch, but what ended up being was that Wanda, aka the Scarlet Witch, was the one that was in pursuit of America's power. Essentially, what happened was she's been having the same dream every night, which was her and her children, essentially. Which we found out later on that when you dream different types of reality, that there's a version of you that's actually living that reality. And Doctor Strange ended up having a dream as well, where he actually died trying to, I guess, uh, escape a demon. Let me charge these real quick. Give me 1 second. So yeah, and then we s- and then as they, I guess, as they were trying to not escape Wanda, because what ended up what happening was, okay, forget trying to escape. They tried to fortify. What's the name of that? Where he's protecting it. I wish I would have wrote notes before I started this spoiler cast, but let's, I guess, do this live. Not live, but and as per this recording. I guess it's the one in New York, the Sanctum Sanctorum. I think that's what it is. Where they were fortifying. No, it wasn't the one in New York. I could tell because we didn't see New York in the background, but it was one of those sanctums. Hold on, let me see. Strange. Let me see. Mm, begin with a G. Begin with a G. I forgot the name of it. But nonetheless, it was pretty much like a training grounds. But they ended up fortifying it like a fortress to protect it against the Scarlet Witch. I guess we'll call it the Scarlet Witch because her mind is being poisoned by, what's that book called? When this happens. Hold on, let me see. I changed to. Uh, Essentially, it was a book that corrupts the mind because there was a version of Wanda's mind was being corrupted by the book, by the same book that the version of Doctor Strange was being corrupted as well. Well, kind of two versions, but one was much more worse than the other. But nonetheless, let me see. It was the opposite of the Book of Ashanti. Hold on. Very true. Let me see. Where are you? I'm gonna look for its anti, for its opposite. Let's see. The Dark Hold. There we go. Found it. So what was the Dark Hold? Was its Dark Hold is the darkness, and the Book of Ashanti is the light, essentially. So there are opposites of each other. So okay. So Wanda's, or should I say, Scarlet Witch's mind was being corrupted by the Darkhold throughout the entirety of the show, except for the very end, which we'll discuss later. So, nonetheless, we talked about America's ability, we talked about the version of Doctor Strange, but one universe that they actually fell into, I guess, as they were trying to escape the Scarlet Witch, she literally demolished the entire sanctum. Literally almost killed everyone, with the exception of a couple people, including one. But nonetheless, uh, Doctor Strange ended up trying to find the Doctor Strange in the universe that they found themselves in. But what ended up happening, like not happening, was that world's Doctor Strange was dead, and I guess what seemed to be was in defeating in the pursuit of defeating Thanos, he ended up sacrificing his life, which ended up being not true. And also, was a surprise, was the Illuminati, which was, well, in one of the trailers we saw what seemed to be Doctor Xavier from the X-Men, which ended up being true. So we saw Illuminati was consisted of Professor Xavier, Captain Carter from Marvel's What If, a version of Captain Marvel, and what else did we see? Oh, Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four. In addition to, hold on, let me get his name. Let's see. Illuminati. Let me search this real quick. Oh wait, Black Bolt from the Inhumans as well. In addition to let's see what else. What's this guy's name? Black Bolt. We know Captain Carter, Captain Marvel, Baron Mordo. Is that him? Let me see. Look that up real quick. Yeah, Baron Mordo, as we saw in the original Doctor Strange, which was he was against Doctor Strange's methods. But nonetheless, they all ended up. Yeah, they all ended up dying as by the Scarlet Witch. Essentially, and how she did, how she was able to travel across the multiverse was that she wasn't essentially traveling; she was able to project herself onto that universe's Wanda, and be able to use her abilities that way. That was one of the spells from the Darkhold. But nonetheless, and then Doctor Strange and that universe, that previous universe's what's her name? Keep getting this thing mixed up. Let's see, Christine ended up finding themselves in a completely different universe, whereas it was essentially destroyed, and they ended up finding that universe is Doctor Strange, where he essentially was his mind was being corrupted by the Darkhold as well, and that same version of Doctor Strange ended up defeating that corrupted Doctor Strange. And that version of Doctor Strange had a third eye as well. But keep that in mind as we move forward. So Doctor Strange ended up using the Darkhold to take control of his version of himself in that universe. And the only version of himself within that universe was the original Doctor Strange that ended up dying in the very beginning of the film. But he ended up burying him somewhere within the universe, within the confines of a house or something like that, within Bracket or whatever. He essentially ended up projecting himself onto that dead body, which is essentially forbidden. So these dead souls tried to stop him. So essentially, what he did was controlling those souls and using them as a weapon to try to defeat the Scarlet Witch. So what ended up happening was he ended up freeing America from, or I guess, save her from her power being stolen by the Scarlet Witch, and she ended up not really defeating her. She ended up kind of defeated by her own self. I guess you could say, because her mind was so corrupted by the Darkhold, she found herself in that same universe as the one where she was controlling, I guess, dream walking into another Scarlet Witch, which that's a version that Wanda ended up having two kids in that universe. So essentially, what happened was she ended up scaring those kids, like, no, I'm your mother. Like, no, you're not, you're a monster. So that was all psychological, which ended up getting to her, like, I'm sorry, I'm not a monster. I don't hurt anyone. But she just came, she just succumbed. She finally realized her own actions. She ended up hurting a little more than just people. She ended up killing people in that process, in that pursuit. And literally, what she was trying to do throughout the entirety of the film was to get to a universe where she had, so essentially every night she would have a dream of her having kids, and what she was trying to do is get to a universe where her kids, where that reality was true, but at what cost? There you go. So it's just, you could piece these all together now. But yeah, so nonetheless, she ended up realizing that the misgivings of her own actions, and I forgot to mention this before, where Darkhold was destroyed in her own pursuit by someone who's still alive, which ended up sacrificing herself. But what happened was the Darkhold was just a copy. It ended up being a I guess not a where we thought it was a tomb, but it wasn't a tomb. It was more of a throne because it had her portrait on the back end, and there was these four, I guess, soulless stones, warriors of stone, that were there, that kneeled as soon as they arrived, and the spells were actually written across those walls. She ended up doing that, and then when she realized, now we'll fast forward towards the end, where she realized her misdeeds, and she ended up, I guess what it seemed like, sacrificing herself, but she ended up destroying the entire monument, so no one can be corrupted by the Darkhold ever again. And the Darkhold copy that Strange used ended up bursting into flames. And what happened? Wong asked him, like, "Are you feeling okay, or what have you?" And towards the end of was it towards the end of the film, and then post credit scene? Hold on, let me look this. Let me see. Let me look this up again. I accept. Okay, no. That was in the mid credit scene. It was toward the end, after one that kind of, when it seemed to sacrifice herself. Uh, so we saw America being training with the others there. So she ended up, as I don't know if you guys recall the first Doctor Strange, where as he was trying to I guess before he became not sorceress, like priest, sorcerer supreme, where he already has abilities and all that stuff. She was the same way as he was. She was unable, doing maybe a couple sparks and unable to actually do anything. So it might take her a little while longer before she's more powerful, essentially. But nonetheless, towards the end, Wang asked him if he's alright, and he said, "Yeah, I'm alright." And what happened as he was walking, I guess, down New York, streets of New York, he ended up not collapsing, but like something was being too powerful for him to bear. And it was like this. And then what happened was the third eye opened as the previous Doctor Strange from the Darkhold, from using the Darkhold. And then it just ended. And then the mid credits, the little credits, or should I say the mid credit scene, rolled up, came to be, and someone out of nowhere confronted him and said, "You caused an intrusion, and we're going to fix it." and then she used some sort of a blade to cut through a hole in reality, and it opened up what seemed to be the dark dimension where their Mamu was being imprisoned, was first imprisoned from the first film. So we'll see. And then, I forgot to mention this earlier. Uh, the universe that where I guess the Illuminati were, where Doctor Strange and America ended up finding themselves was, they America ended up getting food from a universe that she thought was free, and the guy was like, "You have to pay for that. You didn't pay for it. She's just a kid. Let her go." Da, 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 da. Like, wait a minute. That outfit looks familiar. You stole it from the from that museum, didn't you? And who was that guy? Let me see if I can get his name real quick. Cast. Bruce Campbell, which played the father figure in the Wizards of Waverly Place, and then he was also in what's that show called? Burnout. What's that movie called? Hold on, let me see. Let me go to his IMDb profile. Um, Burn Notice. That's the name of it. Burn Notice. Literally, as soon as we saw him in that movie, and then Doctor Strange placed a spell on him that he was hitting himself, and then he's like, "Oh, it'll stop in about 2 weeks," and then it was still going on right during the entirety of the film, which was it showed that 2 weeks have passed, and he's like, "Finally, it's over." And he was talking to the camera to us. I'm like, "Really?" And it was the pun because we expected another glimpse into what's to come, but he's like, "No, the movie's over. What are you still doing here?" So he chuckled, and then it just the lights came on and everything. But nonetheless, it was a great time. Like I said, I gave it a 3.25 star rating in the review cast, and that stands true. But nonetheless, if you guys did enjoy that, be sure to let us know in the comment section, as well as sending us free email over on Discord, over on our sending us an email to reademail@theplay.com, or even by sending us read email directly at anchor.fm/THEIMPACTPLAY. Who knows, we may be featured on a future episode, or even a supposed to read email segment of the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you here on behalf of the Impact Play. And I guess we'll see you all in the next one. Have a good one, folks.